Good morning. I hereby call to order this 12th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2023. Welcome to everyone here with us in the room today and those of us watching on the live stream. We ask you to please stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At today's meeting, which is open to the public, the Commission will act on various matters. There is no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at this public meeting. The public meeting motions, statements, and video will be available on the Commission's website later today. The first matter on this morning's agenda are the approval of the minutes of the meeting of August 24th, 2023. I would like to recognize Commissioner Zerfas as the editor of the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes of the August 24, 2023 public meeting and move that they be approved as submitted. Thank you.
You've heard the motion by Commissioner Zerfas. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. Secretary Chiavetta, we are ready for your presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Your various bureaus and offices have prepared the following agenda for your consideration. Therefore, let us begin on page 1 with matters presented by Director Monahan and the Bureau of Audits. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the audit report of the Duquesne Light Company and release it to the public.
Is there a motion to release the audit report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Unora, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion?
Chairman, I have a statement.
Vice Chair Barrow.
We're not on Chartiers.
Oh, sorry, I don't.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 1, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the gas cost rate audit for the Chartiers Natural Gas Company and release the audit report to the public.
Is there a motion to release the audit report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfas, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a
Vice Chair
statement
Barrow.
on this. I would like my statement entered into the record as if I read it in its entirety. Before us for consideration is the gas cost rate audit of Chartiers Natural Gas Company for the years 2016 through 2021. This is a small utility. They only have 263 residential customers, 8 commercial customers. I would like to extend my gratitude to the Bureau of Audits for focusing on the small utility with the same diligence that they afford the much larger utilities. I wish to highlight audit's observation regarding Chartier's debt obligation to its affiliate, 1XXX. Chartier's average annual revenue is only a little over $200,000, but it currently owes its affiliate, 1XXX, $3,014,000. The debt is more than 13 times the company's 2021 reported revenue of $221,000. In addition to its unpayable debt, Chartier has negative retained earnings of almost $3.5 million as of December of 2021. I understand that Chartier's ongoing debt obligation does not offend the going concern analysis under the auditing standards generally accepted in the United States. I also recognize that audits did not reach a negative conclusion in its report observation because the affiliate 1XXX, because of the affiliate's prior non-pursuit of the debt. the affiliation between the two companies, and the protections afforded to Chartier's customers due to its regulated status. However, I am concerned about the amount of the debt owed to the affiliate because of the potential long-term impact of this debt on the company's customers. I understand that the resources needed to litigate a rate case can be daunting for a small utility, and I believe that may be why Chartier has not filed a rate case in over 30 years. So I encourage Chartier and our Bureau of Technical Utility Services to work together to discuss the company's resources and any and all potentially viable ways to address the increasing debt in order to minimize the potential for future negative impacts on customers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 2, and matters presented by Acting Director Hafner and the Office of Special Assistants. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the formal complaint of Conningham Township versus the Sanitary Sewer Authority of the Borough of Shik-Shinny.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yanora, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on the matter.
Commissioner Yanora.
I ask that my motion be entered in the record as if I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration are exceptions filed by the Sanitary Sewer Authority of the Borough of Shik-Shinny to initial decision issued in this matter. In the initial decision, the ALJ sustained that a complaint against the authority, finding that the authority was operating as a public utility beyond its political boundaries without a commission-issued certificate. In its exceptions, the authority argues that the ALJ erred because of the Commission's lack of jurisdiction over the municipal authority. I agree with the authority that the Commission's jurisdiction does not extend to municipal authorities, even when they are providing services beyond the limits of the organizing municipality. Municipality authorities' access supersedes the Commission's jurisdiction over the municipal authority and vests exclusive jurisdictions over the municipal authority in the courts of common pleas. In this case, there are uncontested records, evidence that Sanitary Sewer Authority of the Borough of Shik-Shinny is in fact the municipal authority authorized to furnish wastewater service to the Commonwealth. As such, the Commission lacks jurisdiction over the authority. Therefore, I move that, 1, that the exceptions of the Sanitary Sewer Authority of the Borough of Shik-Shinny filed on June 30th, 2023, to the initial decision of the Administrative Law Judge Conrad J. Johnson, issued on June 12th, 2023 at this docket, are granted in part and denied in part consistent with this motion. 2, the initial decision of the Administration Law Judge Conrad A. Johnson, issued on June 12, 2023 at this docket, is modified consistent with this motion. And 3, the Office of Special Assistants prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. 4, upon completion of ordering paragraph 3, this proceeding be closed. Thank you.
Further motion by Commissioner Yanora. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yanora, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. On the matter as amended by the motion, is there any further discussion? I do have a statement. Before joining my staff as legal counsel, Stephanie Weimer was employed by the Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and worked on this case. Please note she has not advised me in this matter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there any objection to taking previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter passes as amended by the motion by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 2, it should be noted that the second item on page 2, the informal investigation by the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus the People's Natural Gas Company, has been postponed to the public meeting of November 9, 2023. Turning to page 3, Mr. Chairman, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the formal complaint of the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus the East Dunkard Water Authority.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfas, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have another motion.
Commissioner Yenora.
I ask that my motion be entered into the record as if I read it in its entirety. Consistent with my previous motion on the Chickasha case, there is uncontested record evidence that East Dunkard Water Authorities is in fact a municipal authority authorized to furnish wastewater service in the Commonwealth. As such, the Commission lacks jurisdiction over the authority. Therefore, I move that 1, the initial decision of Administrative Law Judge Martha Gould issued on June 27, 2023 at this docket is modified consistent with this motion. 2, that the exception of the East Dunkard Water Authority to initial decision of Administrative Law Judge Martha Gould is issued on June 27, 2023 at this docket are denied and consistent with this motion. 3, that the settlement between East Dunkard Water Authority and the Commission's Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement on August 2nd, 2023 is rejected for lack of Commission jurisdiction. 4, that the complaint filed by the Commission's Bureau of Investigations against East Dunkard Water Authority on August 2nd, 2021 is dismissed for lack of Commission jurisdiction. 5, the Office of Special Assistants prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. 6, upon completion of ordering paragraph 5, this proceeding be closed. Thank you.
We've heard the motion by Commissioner Yenora. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yenora, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. On the matter as amended by the motion, any further discussion? I do have another statement. Before joining my staff as legal counsel, Stephanie Weimer was employed by the Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and worked on this case. Please note she has not advised me in this matter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter passes as amended by the motion by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 3, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the amended application and petition filed by Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfas, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on the matter.
You've been busy this week,
Yes,
haven't you?
yeah. Very busy week.
Mr. Yenora.
I ask that my motion be entered into the record as if I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration is the amended application for Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater to serve a residential development of 51 new single-family homes in the New Garden Township, Chester County. In its amended application, Aqua requests a flat bill customer in this new service territory in lieu of supplying the Commission with written agreement for meter read data from the Chester Water Authority. Aqua proposed billing methodology is consistent with the flat rate billing calculations approved in their last rate case. Therefore, I move that 1, the amended application for Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater, Inc., together with the second amended application for approval to offer, render, furnish, and supply wastewater service to the public in the additional portion of New Garden Township, Chester County, is approved within the modification consistent with this motion. 2, a certificate of public convenience shall be issued pursuant with Section 1102A1 of the Public Utility Code authorizing Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater, Inc. to begin to offer, render, and furnish or supply wastewater service to the public in addition, an additional portion of New Garden Township, Chester County on October 19, 2023. And 3, that the Office of Special Assistant shall prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion.
We've heard the motion by Commissioner Yanora. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yanora, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. On the matter as amended by the motion, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter passes as amended by the motion by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 4, it is recommended that the commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 4, beginning with the formal complaint of Frank J. Shervack Jr. versus the Duquesne Light Company, and including and ending the omnibus motion on page 5 with the formal complaint of Vinay Flowers versus the Pico Energy Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 6, and matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended that the commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 6, beginning with the application filed by the Pennsylvania American Water Company Wastewater Division, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 7, both items on page 8, both items on page 9, both items on page 10, both items on page 11, both items on page 12, and both items on page 13, ending the omnibus motion with the application of Allied Acquisition Services, LLC, Gas Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
I heard Ralph. Was that you?
Who was that?
Commissioner Yanora, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 14, it should be noted that the first item on page 14, the letter of notification filed by Mid-Atlantic Interstate Transmission, LLC, has been postponed to the public meeting of November 9, 2023. Continuing on page 14, it is recommended that the commission adopt the quarterly earnings report of jurisdictional utilities.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a statement.
Commissioner Yanora.
I have a statement on the matter, and I'm not going to read it in its entirety. I will be voting no on this matter, as I would have preferred to see the water ROEs increase to 9.8%. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Chairman, I'd like to associate myself with Commissioner Yanora's statement. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
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 The ayes have it by a vote of 3-2, noting the dissents of Commissioners Coleman and Yanora. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 15 and matters presented by Chief Counsel Screven and the Law Bureau, it is recommended that the commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 15, beginning with the proposed rulemaking of natural gas distribution company business practices, and end the omnibus with the recommendation of the Poll Attachment Working Group.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 16, it is recommended that the commission adopt the proposed order regarding electric utility rate design for vehicle charging.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Yanora. Is there any discussion? I do have a motion in this matter, and I ask the Vice Chair to preside.
Thank you, Chairman. I recognize Chairman DeFrank for the purpose of his motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. I ask that my motion be placed into the record as if I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration is the order and proposed policy statement encouraging all electric distribution companies to implement rates specifically designed for electric vehicle charging customers. The instant order comes pursuant to the Commission's action taken approving Charge EVC's petition to initiate a proceeding intended to result in the issuance of a policy statement on electric utility rate design. The utility landscape is evolving rapidly, none more rapidly than the electric industry. Increased penetration of distributed energy resources and EVs presented both a challenge and an opportunity for regulators and utilities alike. From a challenge perspective, absent appropriate policies, the increased adoption of these technologies will likely work to decrease utilities' distribution system network capacity utilization, or the ratio of average demand to peak demand. This places significant headwinds on distribution rates. Further, this adoption could potentially strain electric generation prices and wholesale generation resource adequacy if EV charging load is added to hours of already existing peak demand. However, EDCs have an opportunity to utilize the portfolio of new technologies such as advanced metering, advanced grid monitoring, energy efficiency, demand response, and smart thermostats to better accommodate the evolving demand profiles created by this new energy landscape. I submit that the purpose and scope of this policy statement should be to encourage EDCs to develop EV charging distribution rates with cost of service principles that incentivize increased network capacity utilization of the distribution system. Further, I believe the policy statement should encourage default service providers to develop EV charging generation rates which, at a minimum, properly reflect the cost of generation services during times of system stress. I acknowledge there is no single turnkey designs for EV charging distribution or default service generation rates that achieve these principles. EDCs and DSPs are situated differently with varying demographics, grid characteristics, and demand profiles. EDCs and DSPs may consider tools such as time of use, real-time pricing, demand charges, rebates, automatic control devices, and others to properly effectuate the public interest in line with the Commission's proposed policy statement herein. Further, I support development of distribution and default service generation EV rates that avoid unreasonable cross-subsidization between customers. As such, the proposed scope of the policy statement should also address fairness and equity principles. Such principles include, but may not be limited to, impacts on low-income customers or disadvantaged communities. Therefore, I move that 1, the Law Bureau prepare a revised proposed policy statement order and revised annex consistent with this motion. 2, the Law Bureau shall submit the revised proposed policy statement and order and revised annex to the Governor's Budget Office for review of fiscal impact. 3, upon receipt of a fiscal note from the Governor's Budget Office, the Secretary shall certify the revised proposed policy statement order and revised annex, and the Law Bureau shall deposit them with the Legislative Reference Bureau for publication in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. 4, interested parties shall have 30 days from the date of publication of the revised proposed policy statement order and revised annex in the Pennsylvania Bulletin to file comments with the Secretary. 5, interested parties shall have 60 days from the date of publication of the revised proposed policy statement order and revised annex in the Pennsylvania Bulletin to file reply comments with the Secretary. And 6, a copy of the revised proposed policy statement order and revised annex be filed at docket number P2022-3030743 and be served upon all jurisdictional electric distribution companies, the Office of Consumer Advocate, the Office of Small Business Advocate, the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement, the Department of Environmental Protection, and all parties who filed comments at this docket. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? On final adoption, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter is adopted as amended by the motion with a vote of 5-0. Returning the gavel to you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Madam Secretary.
And finally, on page 16, it is recommended that the commission adopt the proposed order in the petition filed by the Audubon Water Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 17, and matters presented by Chief Administrative Law Judge Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge. It is recommended that the commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJ Johnson in the petition filed by the City of Lancaster Water Bureau.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Yonora, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
It is recommended that the commission adopt the initial decision of ALJ Buckley in the formal complaint of Anne Arundel Goal versus Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Zerfus.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary, I have a motion in this matter. Please enter it into the record as if I read it in its entirety. But before us for consideration today is an initial decision that was dated from July 25th, 2022 in the proceeding of Honorata Goal, and I apologize to her if I mispronounced that, versus Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater. Based on the administrative law judge's finding that the complainant made a verbal request to withdraw her complaint at her hearing, and the decision grants the complainant's petition to withdraw the complaint and then withdraws the complaint. At Ms. Gold's hearing, the judge explained the rate-making process, and Ms. Gold responded to questions about the scope of her complaint. Then the ALJ gave Ms. Gold two options at her hearing, either to withdraw her complaint or that he would write a decision explaining that there is no justiciable issue in her case. In accordance with the hearing transcript, it appears that Ms. Gold replied that she wanted the second option, for the ALJ to draft a decision about the justiciability of her complaint and not to withdraw her case as the initial decision reads. So for these reasons, Ms. Gold should be afforded an opportunity to present her case and be provided a decision on the merits based on the evidence. So therefore, I move that 1, the initial decision of Administrative Law Judge Dennis J. Buckley is reversed, consistent with this motion, and 2, the proceeding be remanded to the Office of Administrative Law Judge for further proceedings as deemed necessary and consistent with this motion. Thank you.
We've heard the motion by Commissioner Zerfus. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5-0. On the matter as amended by the motion, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter passes as amended by the motion by a vote of 5-0. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page 18, it is recommended that the commission adopt the initial decision of ALJ Ashton in the formal complaint of Nikisha Leach versus the Philadelphia Gas Works.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Commissioner Yonora. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. I would like my motion entered into the record as if read in its entirety. On November 8th, 2022, Nikisha Leach filed a formal complaint against PGW indicating that the utility was threatening to shut off her service and requesting a payment arrangement. When the hearing convened on March 2nd, 2022, counsel for PGW let the court know that on March 1st, the night before, at 9:51, she received an email from the complainant explaining that due to the complainant's work schedule, she could not attend the scheduled hearing. The complainant requested a delay until 12 o'clock noon that same day, the day of the hearing, or until the following day, Friday, March 3rd, 2022. The hearing was convened as scheduled at 10 a.m. The complainant did not appear, and PGW moved for dismissal for lack of prosecution. The ALJ dismissed the complaint with prejudice for failure to prosecute. It is clear that the ALJ's December 14, 2022 pre-hearing order warned of the consequences of not appearing at hearing and advised the parties that any continuances should be sent at least 5 days in advance of the hearing. However, in my opinion, work conflicts are sometimes unavoidable. And I note that this complainant's request was to move the scheduled hearing to a later time on the same day or the following day. I have concerns regarding the Commission's practice of routinely dismissing pro se complainants with prejudice as being inconsistent with due process. In cases where there is no reason to suspect that the Commission's administrative process is being abused, dismissing without prejudice protects the complainant's right to due process while respecting the Commission's administrative process. This complainant does not appear to be abusing the Commission's process, and the matter should be remanded and set for hearing as soon as practicable. Therefore, I move that the ALJ's initial decision be reversed and remanded consistent with this motion, and two, that the Office of Special Assistants draft an opinion in order consistent with this motion. Thank you.
We've heard the motion by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion on the motion?
Chairman, I do have a statement on this matter.
Commissioner Coleman?
Thank you. Before the Commission for disposition is the initial decision that dismissed the formal complaint of Nikisha Leach. And what we've heard this morning is that this complainant communicated with the PGW attorney about her desire to have the case postponed. In my opinion, that's really outside the rails of how we conduct our business here, and requiring the complainant, had she wished for that postponement, that she needed to communicate directly with the administrative law judge. So for her failure to attend the scheduled hearing, that the judge proceeded in prosecuting her complaint. The complaint was provided with written notice that failure to attend the hearing could result in the dismissal of her complaint. And the instructions on how to request the continuance was provided to her. No request for continuance of the hearing was submitted to the Commission, to the administrative law judge, or to this Commission. I agree with the ALJ's conclusion that as a matter of law, she could not consider the extra record evidence. This is what is considered hearsay evidence, evidence between a complainant and the attorney for PGW. And again, I think that's outside the rails of the conduct of a complainant and their due process rights. So we decided that the PGW motion for dismissal was appropriate, as the administrative law judge did not abuse their discretion, and that the additional decision should stand and be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Is there any further discussion?
Chairman, I'd like to associate myself with Commissioner Coleman's statement.
Thank you, Commissioner Unora. Any further discussion? I would like to make a few comments on this matter as well. You know, we all have challenges in our lives, and you know, I think it's completely reasonable for someone to ask for a reschedule of events due to work reasons. You know, I understand the Commission cannot, you know, permit ratepayers to abuse procedural power or process. However, I don't find any evidence of that here. And to be clear, this complainant asked for a 2-hour delay. That's what we're talking about today, a 2-hour delay. Presiding officer has the rights and powers to revise hearing schedules for good cause. Here, the presiding officer was sent information from the utility noting that the complainant could not make the hearing due to a work conflict. And the complainant asked the hearing to be rescheduled 2 hours later. I don't believe accommodating such a request is onerous on the commission or the utility and should have been granted. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
No?
No.
The ayes have it by a vote of 3-2, noting the dissents of Commissioners Coleman and Yenora. On the matter as amended by the motion, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter passes as amended by a motion by a vote of 3-2, noting the dissents of Commissioners Coleman and Yenora. Madam Secretary.
Continuing on page 18, it is recommended that the commission adopt the initial decision of ALJ Allensworth in the formal complaint of Kristen Flaherty versus the Duquesne Light Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I do have our joint motion.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. We would like our motion entered into the record as though read in its entirety. And please bear with me on this one. It's a little lengthy. Might take y'all to law school. By complaint dated March 28, 2023, Kristen Flaherty indicated that Duquesne was threatening to terminate service and requested a payment arrangement on an arrearage of $1,425. Duquesne noted in its new matter and motion for judgment on the pleadings that Ms. Flaherty filed a prior complaint on September 19, 2022, making the same allegations of threats to terminate service and asking for a payment arrangement. And that was dismissed on March 21st, 2023. As a result, Duquesne argued that the complaint filed March 28, 2023, a week later, should be barred by the doctrine of res judicata. Duquesne added that Ms. Flaherty should be prohibited from filing any further complaints until her current balance was paid in full. The ALJ's initial decision granted the motion for judgment on the pleadings and dismissed the complaint without a hearing. We find that the two reasons offered to support the dismissal are in error. First, the prior complaint that is used as a basis for dismissal by res judicata was not decided on the merits. Instead, that prior case was dismissed for failure to prosecute. Furthermore, we do not agree that there was abuse of process sufficient to bar Ms. Flaherty from filing further complaints at this commission. The first on the res judicata, that's designed to promote certainty, finality, judicial economy. For that doctrine to prevail, 4 conditions have to be met: identity of issues, identity of causes of action, identity of persons and parties to the action, identity of the quality and capacity of the parties suing or being sued. Additionally, case law provides that the doctrine of res judicata prevents a suit between the same parties on the same cause of action after a court of competent jurisdiction has rendered a final judgment on the merits. In this case, there was no final judgment on the merits of the September 2022 complaint because it was dismissed when Ms. Flaherty failed to appear. As a result, res judicata cannot be used to dismiss the instant case. Nor should this complaint be dismissed on a preliminary basis due to Section 316 of the Public Utility Code. Section 316 governs prima facie evidence of facts found which are conclusive unless set aside. This provision does not address stare decisis or dismissals with prejudice. This provision creates a presumption that prior facts, such as tariff rates, are reasonable and precludes collateral attack upon those facts, absent a showing of changed circumstances. Here, the facts found in the prior complaint only involve the failure to appear and not the averments raised in the instant complaint. Next, on to barring Mrs. Flaherty from filing any further complaints due to abuse of our process. To the extent with which Ms. Flaherty has used our process, in our opinion, doesn't rise to the level of abuse that she should be barred. She has filed 15 complaints against various utilities. That's a high number, but here there's only 2 against this utility. It's unreasonable to associate complaints filed against other utility companies to bar her from filing against Duquesne. In my experience, when folks fall on hard times, they're trying to get out of all their bills, not just the one company. So I don't see that as an abusive process. And I also don't see any evidence that she's misused the hearing continuance process or the settlement process. And those are the kind of things that would lend to a finding of abuse of our process. So we think that barring a complainant from the commission should only be done in those rare circumstances where abusive process has clearly been found. And that is not the case here. Therefore, we move that the initial decision of ALJ Allensworth be reversed and remanded back to the Office of Administrative Law Judge for a hearing on the merits consistent with the above discussion, and that the Office of Special Assistants prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you.
We've heard the joint motion by Vice Chair Barrow and myself. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion on the motion?
Chairman, I do have a statement on this case as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. Before the Commission for Disposition is the initial decision dismissing Ms. Flaherty's formal complaint on res judicata grounds. As you've heard from the Vice Chairman, there is a fairly rich history of this particular complainant, and to the extent that the initial decision also finds an abusive process and prohibits the complainant from filing any further informal or formal complaints with this Commission regarding her Duquesne Light Electric account until the current outstanding balance is paid in full or otherwise satisfied. I agree with the joint motion's finding and analysis on the abusive process issue. However, I do not fully agree with how the joint motion proposes to address the res judicata issue, and I don't agree with the decision to remand this matter. Rather, I believe Ms. Flaherty's formal complaint should be dismissed under Section 316 of the Public Utility Code as explained in greater detail in my written statement. Therefore, I will not be supporting the motion this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Any further discussion? I do also like to make some comments on this matter and motion. I'm pleased that we have the opportunity today to clarify both res judicata and abusive process in consumer proceedings. Most, if not all, of these cases involve consumers who are not represented by counsel, so therefore it's important that we offer the direction we are offering today. I believe the complaint in this case is not barred by res judicata because there was no final judgment on the merits of the prior case, as the Vice Chair stated in our motion. Furthermore, the complaint in this case does not constitute an abusive process because this is only the second complaint Ms. Flaherty filed against Duquesne. And the complaint in this case is also not barred by Section 316 of the Public Utility Code because the decision in the prior case is only conclusive of the fact that Ms. Flaherty failed to appear for the hearing in the prior case and is not conclusive to the averments raised in the instant complaint, which I believe she has a right to do here. While I respect the positions of my colleague, I disagree with those positions and hope the actions we take today can ensure that we are fulfilling our obligation. that consumers have the opportunity to have their legitimate concerns regarding essential utility services be heard by this commission. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
No?
No.
The ayes have it by a vote of 3 to 2, noting the dissents of Commissioners Coleman and Yenora. On the matter as amended by the motion, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter passes by a vote of 3 to, the matter as amended by the motion passes by a vote of 3 to 2, noting the dissents of Commissioners Coleman and Yenora. Madam Secretary.
Turning to page, I'm sorry,
Excuse me?
I didn't know if there was a comment by the Vice
No,
Chair.
no, thanks.
Turning to page 19, it is recommended that the commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJ Brady in the purchased gas cost rate filing by PICO Energy Gas Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Barrow, seconded by Commissioner Yenora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5 to 0. Madam Secretary.
Finally, on page 19, it is recommended that the commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJs Buckley and Coogan in the purchased gas cost rate filing submitted by UGI Utilities Gas Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Zerfus, seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5 to 0. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the regular agenda. Turning now to the carry-in. It is recommended by the Office of Special Assistance on page 1 of the carry-in agenda that the commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the formal complaint of Knox Township versus the Buffalo and Pittsburgh Railroad.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Commissioner Yenora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a vote of 5 to 0. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, that concludes all agenda items to be considered today.
Before we adjourn today's meeting, I would like to take a moment to recognize Cybersecurity Awareness Month. An important item for everyone to consider this month, beyond where to find the best pumpkin spice food items, is cybersecurity. October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, a time for everyone to consider the steps we can take every day to safeguard our information and digital systems, whether at home, at work, or at school. This year's National Cybersecurity theme is Secure Our World and focuses on easy steps we can all take to safeguard our information and devices. And it boils down to 4 basic tips we can all follow. Use of strong passwords. Use passwords that are long, random, unique, and include all 4 types of characters: uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. Also consider using password managers, which are powerful tools to help you create strong passwords for each of your accounts. Turn on multi-factor authentication. MFA systems require additional confirmation from you before accessing your account, and they can make it significantly less likely to get hacked. Enable MFA on all your online accounts that offer it, especially email, social media, and financial accounts. Recognize and report phishing. Be cautious of unsolicited messages asking for personal information. Avoid sharing sensitive information or credentials with unknown sources. Report phishing attempts and delete suspicious messages. And finally, upgrade your software. Ensuring your software is up to date is the best way to make sure you have the latest security patches and updates on your devices. Regularly check for updates or allow automatic updates if they are available. Remember, The interconnected nature of our modern digital world means we all share the responsibility for cybersecurity. There is no other business to come before us. Are there any objections to adjourning the meeting? Hearing none, we are adjourned.